Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. So every episode, I have a fan of the Dave Matthews Band to come on the show to explain where they met this band, what their journey has looked like. This band started in 1991 in Charlottesville, Virginia. And so we have had a lot of time with this band. There are fans that have loved it from the moment they started and still love the band now. Of course, there are fans that have just found the music this long after they started. There's really no bad time to meet the Dave Matthews Band. And so everybody's journey is completely different. All of our lives are completely different. What brought us up to finding the music and what the music has done for us in our lives. And so, of course, this episode is like all of my episodes. I have a guest on the show to talk about their fan journey behind the Dave Matthews Band. So tell us who you are, where do you live, and tell us something about you.
Okay, my name is Lyss. It's Alyssa, but I go by Lyss. I'm from Rome, New York, which is like right outside of Syracuse, New York. And something about myself. Okay, so I have a dog. She's a pug. Her name is Lucy. She's like my pride and joy. She also has the same birthday as our Carter Beaufort does, November 2nd.
I feel like that happened. That was meant to be, right? A Dave Matthews Band fan gets a dog.
I had no idea.
On a birthday of a major part of the Dave Matthews Band. They're all major parts, but Carter, Carter is Julia Roberts' favorite.
That's what I was gonna say. I need to get Lucy like a little Carter.
Oh my God, yes. I feel like if you're wondering what in the world we're talking about, so the boys just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Julia Roberts was the one that spoke the induction speech before they got inducted, because Julia Roberts is a longtime fan and friend of the Dave Matthews Band. She was in, there's a song called Dream Girl by the Dave Matthews Band. She was in that video. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely go to YouTube. Of course, it's a much younger Julia Roberts, a much younger Dave Matthews Band, but it's a beautiful song, one that honestly, I think we don't hear enough. But it was just like we came full circle when we found out that Julia Roberts was going to be the one that inducted them, because we just didn't know. Could it be Willie Nelson? Who was it going to be that actually gave the speech? So it was a surprise, but not a surprise. Also really fun that Julia Roberts did it. So she walks out with like jeans, a blazer, and a shirt.
So cute.
And the shirt simply says Dave, 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 Dave. And since that exact moment, Amazon has sold like 1,000 Dave shirts, because I looked it up. I was like, where did she get the shirt? Because I'm thinking like she probably got it from the Warehouse, the Gorge Crew, something, all of these different little places that you can get DMB stuff. Hell no, I found it on Amazon. Of course, Julia Roberts is like Amazon.
Can get it on Gorge Crew.
Okay, yeah, because everybody's cashing in because of what Julia did for this shirt. And so I got mine from Amazon. It was like $19.99. But yeah, everybody's got the Carter shirts. Every member of the band, you can get a shirt now. And so I've often joked, like, what an easy Halloween costume: jeans, blazer, and a Dave shirt. Bam, I'm Julia Roberts. Nobody would get it, but I would.
The important ones would get it. The real ones.
Be like, you are not Julia Roberts. But like, yes, I am. So Rome, New York. I have never been there. It sounds very fancy. I don't know if it is.
Not even close. Nope. You are not missing a single thing.
I love New York in general, though, and I have been to Syracuse, so I am familiar with the general area of that. Have you lived there forever? Is that your like home?
So I was born here. I live like a 5-minute walk from where I was born.
Oh,
But
wow.
then when I was a little older, I moved to like the suburbs of Syracuse. And then a few
Gotcha.
years ago, I ended up coming back out here. But I'm
Awesome.
no, nope.
New York is home. And lucky
I
you
mean, I love
because,
New York, but
yes. And as far as like being a Dave fan goes, you just live so
oh,
close to
he
so
loves New
many
Yorkers, and I'm
shows.
here for it.
I always get so jealous when I talk to East Coast people. I'm like, dude, do you know how many shows Arkansas gets? Well, 0 this year, 1 last year, 0 2022. I mean, they do not visit the Midwest enough, or the South, whatever Arkansas is. I don't know what we are exactly, but we don't get enough Dave love. But the East Coast gets it, and that makes sense. Like I said, Charlottesville,
Right.
Virginia. Which oddly enough, I'm going to talk about this right quick. How many times did I have to re-record the
Oh my
opening of
God.
this just so that I could get Charlottesville, Virginia out of my mouth? Was it 4 or 3
First,
times?
no, third time's a charm. First, it was Charlottetown, Virginia, and then it was Charlottesville, North Carolina. We get there.
Oh
You
my
worked
God.
it out.
It was so funny because like I know better and I almost say Charlottesville, Virginia in every episode, but for whatever reason, my mouth is not working. It's probably the amount of pot that I smoked right before hitting record,
Right.
but also, you know what? It made for some fun. We got to know each other and you
Oh
got to see me
yeah.
screw up because, maybe I think like late November, if you're listening to the show and you want to keep watching them, late November will be the second anniversary of the Space Between podcast. So what I did for the first one was release all the bloopers.
Oh,
So
please do.
guess what, girl? You just made the blooper reel.
Ooh, I'm twisted.
Congratulations. It's always one of the most fun things. If you didn't see the first year blooper reel, go back on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. I mean, a year worth of me screwing up is a very long video. So
I mean, given that it's me, I'm probably going to cause a lot of fuck ups during this anyway. You can probably add more.
Yay. It's always fun to go back and watch those and then listen to the real one. You're like, oh, those women have their shit together. Oh no, we just edited it to sound that way.
The beauty of editing.
Yay. Okay, so let's do it. Tell me, when was the very first time that you ever heard of the Dave Matthews Band?
Okay, so back to the Gorge Crew merch. I'm the epitome of like raised on Dave. Like I was born in 89 and they started in 91. So like my mom is my best friend and she's the other biggest fan that I know. And so she, with me growing up, just always listened to them. And so embarrassingly, no shame.
Proudly.
Hers was always, right, but her band was always DMB. And then growing up for me, mine was always Hanson.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's just the times.
There.
It was just the times.
Right. Exactly. And so I still have love for them. I met them again. I've met them a million times, but I met them again in June between Dave shows. And so like those were like the two prominent things playing in our house growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are like my first music memories in general, right off the bat.
Wow. So 89 is when you're born. So yeah, that was just like fast math, but 2 years before the Dave Matthews Band started. And so it literally was it's been like in your life forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
She raised me right. I mean,
yes, she did.
Up, but she raised me on Dave, so I've got that going for me.
And how cool that this many years later, you're still really into them. It's turned into this passion right alongside mom. So obviously, at 2 years old, you even probably more into that, Dave Matthews Band is not your favorite band. But so how did it go? How did it morph into that from going from Hanson to the Dave Matthews Band?
I think part of it was like I said, my mom and I are like as tight can be. Mm-hmm. And so like it was always like a huge part of her life, and like that always made me like gravitate towards it, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
And then once I got like older and older and older, it's just become like more of like a deep love for it, because I started to be able to like listen to the lyrics and relate to the lyrics. And then I mean, from then, just every time like a new album came out, I was just more and more obsessed.
Yeah.
And then I mean, at this point, however many years later, like when my mom and I talk to each other, it's basically like random conversation, but then like we speak in Dave Matthews lyrics.
Oh
So
yeah.
like nobody knows what we're saying ever. But for
Except
us
other
it
Dave
matters.
fans.
And we'll text each other. Yeah. It's like we'll text you like, "Hello, how are you doing today?" And then I will respond like, "I hope and find you feeling," you know what I mean? Like, so it's
I
like that's
do.
how we speak to each other all the time. Or
Yes.
like anytime anything comes up, like we'll just turn it into like a lyric or a song title.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, can you get me some water?" I'm like, "No, mom, don't
Don't
do that.
drink
You
the
can't
water.
drink the water. Like, don't drink the water." Like it just everything turns into something, and it's fun now, and it's
It is fun. And I want you to know that
yeah,
that's completely normal as a Dave fan. Completely
right,
normal. Everyone's doing it.
yeah, yep.
Everyone.
So we're not special, thanks, but
No, I didn't
you
mean
know,
that. I just meant you are a
I'm just
normal
kidding.
Dave
Yeah,
fan. So, like, if you're
yeah.
listening to this and you're like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, don't drink the water. Well, that's a song by the Dave Matthews Band, and it is true that people that have been a fan, long enough to know a lot of lyrics will tend to start sprinkling it through their daily conversations in places where you are talking to Dave fans. But also, I have definitely I won't say accidentally, but like done it to a person that had no fucking clue what I was talking about. And I was like, oh shit, they're not
I
going to
do that
get
all
that.
the
And I sound
time, and
stupid.
like they'll say something, and I like think of a lyric, and I'm like thinking I'm being clever with it by like throwing something back, and they're like, "Okay." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Bro, catch up."
Yeah. Listen to some music. Get cultured. Come on.
Damn,
90s music.
right? Uncultured swine, like uncultured greedy little pig. If you want to go that route,
And be like, you know what? You'll get that one when you do some research too.
right?
It's so funny. It's so funny.
Oh,
So take us through. So literally you can say you've been a fan your whole life
yep.
because you have. And so what does that look like when you get into, I always kind of think that like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, those are years where you really kind of start finding your groove, your music, your style, like who you want to kind of be, who you're shaping to be. How did the Dave Matthews Band influence any of that time, early teenage years?
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
As far as like who I wanted to be as a person, or what else I was listening to.
Yeah, I mean, like, why were you still listening to it? Because there was so much available when you were 10, because we're talking 1999. There was amazing music out there going into
90s were the
2000s.
best,
They really were. And even the
all the way
early
around.
2000s, well, 2000, every decade has had amazing music, but
Right,
there was
but
some special places in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so I know you were listening to other things, of course. So like what kept you, other than the relationship you had with your mother, like what kept you coming back to the band?
I just love, like, I mean, half the time their lyrics don't make sense, but I love that.
Sometimes. Yeah,
And
yeah.
like the ones that do make sense, that was, I mean, more than half them make sense. They're fine.
Yes.
But like the ones that do, I just like really resonated with, even as like somebody that's decades younger than the guys in the band. Like I could still resonate with so much of what they were saying. And it just like puts me in a good mood. Like, and it always
Yeah.
has. But even if I'm not in a good mood, like there's a song for every single mood you could possibly be in. So like if
True.
I'm depressed, I could like listen to a song and like spoke in that depression, or I could listen to
Hmm.
a song and it could get me out of that funk
That's
that I
right.
was in.
Yeah.
So like it just all the way around. I don't
It
know. I
just,
just
Yeah, no, I get it. It feels
It
good to
stuck
feel
with
good.
me.
And the music can make you the music has the ability to do whatever you need at that moment. Exactly like what you
Yeah.
said. And
And since
that's
then, it's
incredible.
just even more, it rings true even more,
Yeah.
especially
Yes.
in the past like 4 or 5 years.
So let's talk about it. Let's dig into it.
All
What does this
right.
music help you get through? I mean, we know that you love the
Okay.
music. We know that your mom loves the music. You have that bond, but like tell us, let's dig a little bit deeper, only because I know some things, but our listeners don't. So like let's talk about that. Let's dig a little deeper.
Okay. So, I mean, actually, I probably could even mention this too. Like, growing up, I did have a lot of like trauma that I experienced. And
Mhm.
so that was like Dave and Hanson even, but like Dave was like one consistent things that like I knew, and it sounds so lame and cliche and corny, but like that would never let me down, that would never disappoint me, that I could always cling to for like that comfort, that
Yes.
support, whatever, in those
Yes.
like really shitty situations that I was
Yeah.
in. And then as I got older, um, probably stemming from that trauma, I developed a really severe eating disorder. And
Wow.
so for the past 20 years now, this year is 20 years, I've spent more time than not in and out of like the hospital, whether it's like the ICU or just like getting stabilized, and then in like inpatient residential treatment centers. So
Wow.
I've spent a lot of time, trying to work my shit out.
Right.
Um, and so I have had, I don't even know how many tickets to how many shows over the past 2 decades that I've been struggling. Because even like when I was like 12, 13, 14, I always wanted to go.
Mhm.
Um, but once I started to get really, really sick, I wasn't able to do anything. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't work. I couldn't be on my own. I was in the hospital all the
Right.
time. And
Right.
so I felt like I was like, FOMO is real, as the kids say. Like I was just missing
Mhm.
out on like so much of it. And so once I discovered Couch Tour, like that was a lifeline. And when my mom and my aunt, who's also a huge fan, would go to shows, at a lot of these like hospitals and treatment centers, you aren't allowed access to your phone or to any sort of like technology. But like when I was, and it was like summer tour, and they would go to like SPAC or whatever,
Mhm.
or even people that I met on Couch Tour during those times, like I was just always really open about my story.
Yeah.
Especially one time I was in the ICU and I was in room number 41. So I posted about it in like, I don't know, one of the million Facebook groups, and I had a lot of people reach out to me, which is also the support from this community is just insane. And so
Mhm.
I would always have people that like, if I had access to a phone, would like call me during my favorite songs. They'd be like, what song, if they played, do you want me to call you during? I'm like, can you just like hang out with me for the whole show? But like,
Yeah.
so I like had little bits and pieces of it, but obviously it's not the same on like a muffled phone call or like
Mhm.
it's not going to be the same.
Right.
But I don't know what clicked last year for me, but for the first time in over 20 years, I was like getting to a healthier place. And now for the first time in those 20 years, I've been out of the hospital consistently for a year and a half now.
Wow.
And so
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm still a shit show, but we're working on it. But so last year, I don't know what it was, but I was like, I need to see Dave. I need to meet all these people like that I've made these amazing friendships with through like these Facebook groups, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot have one more summer where I'm like hooked up to these monitors watching the show from my screen. Like I am going to be there. I'm going to make it happen. I don't know. I've lost everything. I've lost relationships. I've lost a career. I've lost everything over this stupid eating disorder. But for
Mhm.
some reason, seeing a Dave Matthews show was what like got me out of whatever the hell I was in. And
Wow.
so SPAC last year was my first show, which, like I said, I had all these tickets to shows. I just could never go to them. And I feel
Yeah.
like, I mean, we talked about this before. Like sometimes I feel really embarrassed to say that I've only been going to shows. I've been to like 7 or 8 shows now. And I feel like, oh, people are going to hate me because I haven't been to 600 shows like some people, but
Well,
like
if they
it wasn't,
do, then they're not good
I
people
mean,
because that's
right.
ridiculous.
But it just wasn't like I was desperate to be there. I just physically was dying instead. Oops. So now that I'm like in a healthier place and I can like make these shows, when I had the finances, because I didn't have insurance also
Oh
for like a
yeah.
lot of
Oh
those hospital
gosh.
stays.
Oh wow.
And when you're talking like ICU stays for months at
Oh
a
yeah.
time, like my financial situation is not great, but
Oh my God.
priorities,
Yeah.
Dave Matthews. So I
Yeah.
will make it work. um, but just like the support that I've received just from being open, and like the relationships that I've been able to like cultivate because of the band, has just like, since that first show is back, kept me going. It's just been unreal, honestly.
Let's talk about your first show. So I'm sure it
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
was there some anxiety leading up to it, just simply because it was your first show and you did know that you're about to meet a lot of people that you had only met online before?
Mm-hmm.
Was there some anxiety going into it?
Of course. So I'm like the biggest people person. Like, I love people. My favorite thing to do is like, I'm a caretaker, I'm a people pleaser. I like to make people laugh inappropriately,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
But like, I
too.
am also terrified of people. So
Oh,
as
me
much as I
too.
love people, they scare the shit out of me.
For
Especially, like, I haven't had the
real.
best experiences my whole life with them. But like,
Yes.
so I was definitely nervous, because I just go into every situation with like the preconceived notion that everybody hates me or is going to hate
Oh
me.
my
So I'm
God.
very like,
I identify with
it's
you
pathetic.
so much. No, it's
So,
just life. I think it might be normal.
right.
I don't know. Or if it's not, it's my normal. It's your normal.
It's our normal, whatever.
Yeah.
So, and if like they don't hate me or they say they don't hate me, I'm like, okay, you're lying, or like you're obligated to say that. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like,
Yes.
I'm always nervous and I don't want to disappoint anybody. And then also like large crowds also I'm like, I'd rather be at home with my dog. But
Oh,
for
yeah.
this, it's different.
Yes.
And so I was with my mom, because we come as a pair.
Yes, you
And
do.
we got lawn passes for the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
And so we ended up like on the rail of the lawn. So we
Which
were
is the
like as
best
close
place
as
to
you
be
could
in
be
spec.
without, right.
Yeah.
Just whipping this out. And so I think I was just like so overwhelmed going into it, because I had so much built up excitement over 30 years.
Yes.
And everyone, like, you can see like the videos on YouTube, you can watch Couch Tour. So like, you know that like the live experience is totally different than like the studio versions. But like,
Yeah.
I knew, so like going into it, I knew that like I was gonna have like an out of body experience probably. So like, and I'm a crier.
That's
So
okay.
as soon as they came out on stage, I was already like crying.
Yes.
I wasn't quite to like the ugly cry at that point. But then, so first song, first show ever was The Fucking Stone. So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I got one of the best openers in the entire world. And so I was already crying when they started, and like when they're going with the guitars and stuff. But then as soon as Jeff and Rashawn came in with the horns, I lost my shit. Like, ugly crying wasn't even like, I had passed that. I had gone on to like, you are making noises and faces that are not human right now. Like, I just lost it. And my mom is a crier too, especially like all these songs make us cry. But like, she, I think, was crying because like I was crying so much.
Yes.
And I was so overwhelmed, and she was so happy for me, because like, she obviously has been terrified that I'm going to die that sounds so horrible. But like, she's been terrified of losing me for all these years.
Yes.
And like the fact that like she could see me healthy enough to be there and like so happy, and just like losing my mind over something that like means so much to both of us. It was just like so emotional.
Those
and,
were
like,
happy tears, right? Happy tears.
oh my God. They were the happiest of tears in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
And
my
that
God,
feels
yeah.
good. It feels good to be that happy and to have
To cry
achieved
for something
something.
happy for once was
Yes.
a huge welcome change of pace in my life.
Yes. Yes. Because I'm sure that crying is not something, well, it's not something new for any of us, but most of us, a lot of us cry, you know, when we're in pain or when we're upset or when we're going through some shit that we don't know how to get out of. So when you do finally get to the point where you're crying because you're so overwhelmingly happy. Uh-oh, hold on. I'll edit that part out. So when you get to the part where you're crying because you're so overwhelmingly happy, that it just feels different and it feels good. It feels really good to just
Oh
like
my God, it felt
release
so
all
good.
that tension and all of those feelings and all that pent up stuff to just let it out.
Yeah. And that whole set list was just, I mean, every set list to me is phenomenal. I don't get the people that are like, that wasn't a great set list. I'm
I
like,
know.
fuck you. It was amazing.
I know.
Anything I can get is amazing. But that was like,
Exactly.
holy shit level.
Mhm.
So I was just so blown away. And I was like, all right, I'm never going to the hospital again, because if I miss any more of these things, like, I give up. Like, I was not about to like go back. And it's been really, really hard, but it's also like kept me going, especially because, like I said, I've cultivated all these like incredible relationships, and like, I don't want to lose those either.
Right.
So like,
Right.
it's about like Dave and my 7 favorite men in the entire world, but like, the friendships mean so much to me now too, that I just like don't want to ever have to like not experience that.
Right.
Even
Right.
like strangers to me that I meet through these Facebook groups that have been so supportive, because I'm an open book and I like don't shut the fuck up about anything ever. Like, it's been so unreal to me that like, wow, not everyone sucks and people can be super supportive without even knowing me, and they're not judgmental. They're not like, it's been crazy.
That's right. So if someone's listening to this and you're like, what are you talking about groups? Because, we always assume that like everyone's on social media, and that is just
That's
not true. And so on Facebook, there are hundreds of groups that are centered around the Dave Matthews Band. And so how was it that you got hooked into this? Like, tell us about the time where you kind of started finding those groups, and then just how do you form relationships out of those groups?
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcast.
Honestly, it's been so long, I don't even remember like how I came across them. I mean, I probably like looked some up or heard about them just from like people that I knew. But then I think my algorithm on like every social media thing I have is like, Dave, Dave, people you may know on Facebook, Dave. So like, I got that way. And then once I started really getting into couch tours specifically, again, I don't shut the fuck up ever. So I was always like super active in like the comments as it was going.
Yeah, I love reading
and
the
I'm
comments.
Also, like I said, I'm like super inappropriate. My sense of humor is not for everyone. I say I'm an acquired taste. But like, so I would just have fun making people laugh, even if I think they're laughing at me. But like, that was one of the biggest things, that like I would get all these like laugh reacts or whatever it is on Facebook in the comments, and like that just made me happy. And so then I just started like talking to a bunch of people, like, and then I started I wanted DMB vanity plates, and I had like all of these like options. And so I specifically like took a few people that like I had started talking to a lot from Couch Tour and started a group chat. And I'm like not a group chat girl. Like, I think they're annoying as fuck most of the time. But I was like, listen, I need all of your help helping me decide like which plate I should do. And so then we just like all started talking that way. And now we're all like super close, and they're like my girls. So since I was the one that created it, I changed the name of the group chat to like DMB in all caps, like it is. And then after the B, it just went besties. So like DM best, like it's like we're all that. Yeah, it's so lame, but we're so cute.
No, it's not.
So
not lame at all.
That's how we started talking, and those are like my core people. But then like
Yes.
I've met so many other people that I go to shows with now, and like I meet up with them when I'm there, and like we'll kind of like say like, all right, we'll both put in these for like warehouse, and then whoever gets the best one, like we'll go together and we'll sell the other ones, or we'll like get, we'll give them to someone else just so we can like
Yes.
place our bets there.
No, it's a team effort, and you have better chances if you know somebody that you can go in with. And I've done the same thing. Like, let's all apply. Whoever gets the best tickets will go with yours. We'll sell the rest, or whatever. But it is a smart way to do it. But that is a system that you kind of have to get into, and it takes connecting with the fans to get to that. Because a lot of people want to talk about, well, the warehouse is not fair, or getting tickets is such a blah 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 blah. I don't have any opinions on any of that. But what I do know is that if you do get into the groups and you really make some relationships, tickets become less of a problem, because there's always someone that had better seats or better tickets or better whatever. And then you just sync up with them. I mean, it's just, there are ways to get tickets that people don't know about, all legal ways, all normal ways. It's just about connecting and knowing the right people, which, these groups have allowed us to do. I have met people, you have met people that we would have never met, probably never met before, had it not been for the Dave Matthews Band. And so tell us about the first time you actually met someone face to face that you had only before then talked to on the internet. Was that weird, or was it awesome, or was it both?
At that point, I feel like I've been talking to everyone for so long that like it wasn't weird at all. It was just like we ran up to each other, gave each other big hugs, and it feels like we've known you forever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the close, tight knit like community that we have that I feel so lucky. Yeah,
I feel the same way, and it sounds so weird, but it's not. In this group, it's not weird.
Not at all. And like even over the past few months, I feel like every week I make a new friend at least from like our world.
Right. Because it expands really fast. Because if you have even just like that core group, well, that core group of people probably have some friends on the outside of that core group. Yeah. And then they bring them in, or you meet them because they went to a show together or whatever. And so your group tends to just expand bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's a really awesome feeling. I think last show I was talking to somebody about how hard it is to meet people in general, just as we get older and, we go to work, we come home, we go to work, we come home. Unless you have some other kind of extreme hobby or whatever you do outside of your life, it's hard to meet people. And the Dave Matthews Band, the community around them, has made it so much easier for a lot of us to meet other people, but not just meet other people, but kind of like what you said, when you got together with these people that you just met, you already knew about them. So there was a comfortability around that. When you went up to them and actually saw them in real life for the first time, giving them a hug, you just felt safe and secure. That is a true story. You build these relationships. Sometimes it could be for years online, talking to each other, and then to meet each other. It's not weird. And for someone that might be listening to this and think that sounds weird, it's just not in the Dave Matthews Band world. And I think it's something that really sticks out when it comes to the Dave Matthews Band is their fans. And, the band knows that. The band has said that. They said it at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, just Dave realizes how, well, they all do, but like Dave, when he was talking at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, emphasized the fact that we are like hardcore, in it to win it, never gonna leave, always persistent, die hard fans. We're there for everything.
Man is so freaking humble.
Oh, he is. And I love that just because how easy it could be to be the complete opposite, right? Because he has everything he's ever done.
Do that all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And everything they've ever touched pretty much has turned to gold. And at least in their fans' eyes. And to have this many years in, over 30 years, and to still have this rabid fan base. Wow. There's not a lot of bands that can say that.
And you see all like the literal infants and toddlers that go to these shows with their little headphones now. Like they're going to feel the same way their parents do, because their parents are like immersed in this so much that like it's just going to rub off on you, and we're all going to love them forever and ever.
It will.
He's never allowed to retire.
No, well, never. We wish, but no. Somebody said once upon a time, like, in the year whatever, I don't know, 100 years from now, whatever, they'll just be doing hologram Dave, just the hologram Dave Matthews Band
I'll
shows.
take any form of Dave we can. Yes.
Whatever we can do to get it, because they're still going to need it in 100 years. But yeah,
so too, to like meeting people in person as well, like, because like I said, I'm very active in a lot of these groups and I'm open all the time. And like specifically, even strangers, like meeting them. So it was this summer for the show in Mansfield. The day before the show, one of my friends passed away.
Oh gosh.
And so I was like already heartbroken, obviously. And it was one of those like, oh, well, he want you to go and enjoy the show. Like, yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to try. But I felt like guilty because I feel guilty for everything. But I was like, I just feel guilty for like going and enjoying myself and not like just sulking or grieving or whatever, which I was still grieving.
Of course.
And then, so I like made a post about it. And everyone was like super supportive and like reaching out and like, if we see you, we'll hug you, like meet you there. I'll give you a hug. We'll give you some goodies, some swag or whatever. And then we got a flat tire at the gas station before we even left. No. And so that was like another thing. And then it was like a 4.5 or something hour drive. And it was miserable because we love you, Massachusetts, but massholes, the driving is like a real thing.
Oh God.
And so it was just like a miserable trip out there. And then, I feel like there was so much more. It was one thing after another. Yeah. I ended up getting a pit ticket and my mom and my aunt had like seats behind us. And so I met a bunch of people in line and like they said, like they knew who I was, like without me even like saying anything, doing anything. And they were like, are you Lyss? And they came up and gave me a hug and like, we're so sorry. And like, I met somebody from Couch Tour who like hadn't seen that post, but like he was like, hey, you're the one, like you're Lyss, you're talking Couch Tour, right? He's like, I'm this person. And like, I'm so happy to finally meet you. And like, now we're friends. And like, but then that night, like as much as like my first show was the most surreal, incredible moment, Mansfield, I feel like was even better. Oh, this is fun. So I met a couple in line before who their number for like the lottery or whatever was like way ahead of mine. There was like 150 and I ended up being like 139. So I was like not getting in there right away.
Yeah.
But then we ended up talking for a while and they ended up like saving me a spot basically on the rail because I could just like maneuver myself up. And so I had been on the rail. That would have been my third time like actually on the rail in the pit.
Wow.
And so the entire time, I mean, when they're right in front of you, you just like,
ooh, it's different. Yeah.
So I have like a bunch of songs that I've just like always been chasing. We all have our chasing songs.
Sure.
And one of them was Every Day, like the 36 Every Day like version. Because with my pug, Lucy, we always like my mom and I will play it and we'll like pick her up and dance her around in the kitchen and be like, the honey, come and dance with me. Like we sing that and we'll twirl her around and she has no idea what the fuck's going on, but
she loves it.
And I just like think that's such a beautiful in general. So like that whole song is so beautiful. So I've been chasing that forever. And I was like Dave was like right a little bit off to my right, but I was like basically front and center. And so there were a couple things. So like I thought I was like making eye contact with him the whole time. No, before that actually. I was like, my goal has always been to make a selfie because the other two times that I was like on the rail, the selfie was like right the fuck next to me, but not me.
Of course.
That's how it always works.
Yep.
And so I was like, everyone around us was like, oh my God, I hope we're in the selfie. I'm like, no, my goal is to like have him take my phone to be in this, to take the selfie.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, okay, good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck.
I was like, I know, whatever. I was like, I'm not even going to make it, let alone he's going to take my
phone. Keep dreaming.
I know. So the entire time I'm like staring at this beautiful man in front of me. And I'm like thinking that like I made eye contact with him for like a few different times. But I was like, there's no way. There's however many thousands and 20,000 people here. Like, he's not looking at me.
Right.
But it like kept happening. And I'm like, I'm just going to tell myself that I'm making eye contact with him.
Yeah.
It'll make me feel better.
Yeah.
Right. And then there was one time in the show when like I was saying something to the person next to me, and like I didn't realize it was gonna get quiet when it did. And like I don't remember what I said, but I said something, and like she laughed, and he looked over at me and like laughed at what I said. I wish I could remember.
Oh my
Because I don't just
God.
say it all the time. Because I'll be like, I made Dave Matthews laugh with this. So
Made
I'm just
Dave
gonna repeat
laugh at
myself
that.
over and over.
Throwing it out to everybody.
Don't remember what it was. But then they started to play every day. And when I said it ugly cried before, this was a whole, even way beyond, because I was like, I'm on the rail. He's right in front of me. I have been chasing that song forever, sobbing uncontrollably. So I FaceTimed my mom, who's like up behind me, because she was texting me the whole show. Like, we always text each other, whether she's at the show with me or we're there together, but we're separate a lot of the time.
Right.
With like the song it is, or if like just a song that we both want, she'll send me a little heart, or we'll, like, I'll be like, holy fuck, like I can't believe they're playing this right now. And she knew that I've been chasing that forever. So like I could see like the text bubbles start to come up. So I just FaceTimed her, sobbing, and she looks at me and she's like, holy shit. And so she starts crying, and then she shows it to my aunt, and my aunt, all three of us are crying. And then the guy next to them apparently was like, what is happening? And so like it was kind of funny. But then I was a mess. I was like, by the end of the show, you are going to have to pick me up off of the ground, because I'm just going to be a puddle. Like, I'm just not going to exist anymore in like,
but in a good
form.
way. In a good way.
So then it was the end of the show, and there was like a kid that was like pretty close to us, and I'm like, well, there goes the selfie.
Yeah,
because,
the kid always gets it.
The kid always gets it. Like, good for the kid.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying,
like, they deserve it, but like also adults want it too.
Yeah, pick me up, put me on your shoulders, Dave. Come on, like I want to pick me up.
Pick me up, love.
I want to go on stage. Come on.
Right. And so like every day, obviously too, like you'll notice my email is like every Dave.
I love it.
Because like every Dave, I was like, look at me being all clever, but like, you know what I mean? So then he goes to like, he's doing his little like Dave thing at the end of the show. And then we're all lifting our phones up like, pick me. And so he like made a beeline to me. And I lifted it. And
were you watching it like in slow motion? Was he like, and you were like, what is happening?
I get panic attacks. Really easily. I was like, I'm about to lose my shit. So then he like he went like this and like went like this to grab my phone. So not only did I hand that man my phone, like the way we handed it to each other, I brushed his hand.
Hell yeah, you did.
Life goal
on purpose.
To meet them. Like all these people like randomly run into these guys on the streets. I'm like, show me your life, because I need to meet them. I need a selfie with them. I need to hug them, love them, whatever.
Yeah.
So not, I mean, you know what I mean. So he took my phone, did the selfie, and I'm shaking. Like I thought my phone was going to shatter because I was going to drop it when he handed it back to me. And then I was like, huh. And so everyone around me was like, oh my God. And like everyone knew that I wanted it so badly. And sometimes like, I mean, I'm a jealous person, but like other people were like, I'm so happy for you. Like you needed this, because I like made friends with them the whole time.
Yes.
So I was like just so grateful that people were so nice to me after. And they're like, can you send it to me? And like, again, like if you don't know, like the selfie always gets posted on like their social media, or like whether it's Gorge Crew, like all these things, like everyone posts it.
Yeah.
And so
you're like famous for 24 hours.
Right, exactly. So everyone was like, can you send it to me? Like, and I was like trying to like punch in these people's phone numbers. And I'm like, huh. So then finally I was like, take it, enter your own phone number and send it to yourself. I can't do this. I couldn't stop shaking. So I was like, I cannot spend another 15 minutes trying to type out 2 phone numbers. So I just passed around, and then I looked after, and I had like all these random ass text messages with these unknown numbers.
Hell yeah.
So then I was there as people were clearing out, and my mom and aunt were going to meet me like at the actual gate, because there was no way we were going to like find each other in the crowd.
Right.
And so at that point, I wasn't crying, right? Like I wasn't thriving, but I wasn't crying. I was still shaking. And so I started to walk away, and I called my mom, and I like tried to get out what had just happened. And then, because she
didn't know, right? She didn't know.
No, she just sees him take a phone down.
Yeah.
Like, when you're up there, like she just sees him take a phone. And
right.
I like finally got it out to the point where it was like she could comprehend what I was saying. I don't know that she was processing it at the time, but it was at least like
the first time you say it, you're just like,
exactly. And so then like she was like freaking the fuck out, and then she told my aunt, I could hear her freaking the fuck out. And so we like started to walk out there, and while I was walking out there, I it was like the Facebook Messenger, my like DMB like besties group. I was like telling all of them, and they were all so happy for me. Excuse me. And then as soon as it took like 10 minutes probably to like make our way out of the venue. And as soon as I saw my mom, I collapsed. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, I burst into tears. I was shaking uncontrollably. And she was like holding me like, Lyss, like, it's going to be okay. Like, trying to get me to like stop convulsing. And then after that, I was like, we were going to see if maybe we could like get a hotel for the night because we didn't feel like driving back all that way, but we wanted to get like a little further away because nothing is really available when you're that close.
And it's expensive.
Our adrenaline, all of it was so high. We were just like, we're going to just drive straight through. And I was like, I can just die happy now because
you could talk about it for 4 hours on the drive home. Like, just talk about it.
And then after that, like, it's still my profile picture. Like, I posted it, and it's like pinned to my page. I was like, I sent it to like Gorge Crew and stuff, and they posted it. And I was like, all right, next up, I need to meet them because I genuinely can't die happy until I meet them. But I was like, this is as close. Oh my God,
You have Dave Matthews Band, or you have Dave Matthews germs on your phone.
I know, and I was like,
which sounds so like stalker weirdo, but also
we're not going through trash outside.
You know what? He asked me for my phone.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, the fact that like he really did like go to me, I was like, maybe I did make eye contact with him.
Yes, you did.
Or maybe he saw me ugly crying during every day, and he was like, this poor fucking woman, I need to do something nice for her. Like, Jesus. So then I don't even know where I was going with that. I got distracted by
Did you get a hotel?
No, we just drove straight through. But earlier in the day, another good thing that happened was I commented on like something that Jeff posted, and he like laughed at it in response. Like, he commented back, and I was like, Jeff,
we're all besties now.
Exactly. Oh my God. And then it was just and then there's like all these like fake Dave Matthews. Like,
oh God, I get so tired of them.
Oh my God. But then I commented on something, and I just fuck with people all the time. But like, I comment every time you comment on like one of their actual pages, you get somebody little comment below like, have you tried messaging Dave Matthews directly?
Oh my gosh.
Like, I did. And I was like, yeah, we're together now. Like, did you not know this? Like,
yeah, clearly. Look at his profile picture. It's me.
I was like, I know that like he loves his wife, but like, so don't tell her. But like, yeah,
we're just friends. We're just friends.
Whatever. So,
I would totally settle to be in the bestie scenario with Dave or one of the guys. Like, I just want to be in your world. Right. I always say, I just want to
fun.
I want to seriously. This is the scenario that runs through my head. Because I'm very happily married. He's very happily married. Like, I have zero interest in like anything like that. But I would love to like go out in the woods with like a bunch of my friends and Dave and like whoever else wants to come from the band. Like, all of them would be awesome. Right. And like campfire situation where we're sitting around the fire and we're just like smoking and like just trading stories. That sounds amazing.
Hang out with them. Exactly.
Yes.
Hang out, shoot the shit.
Like, yes. And I won't be like the fame girl. I just want to like, let's just talk about life. Let's talk about the fucking Milky Way. I don't care what we talk about.
As long
let's
as
just talk.
We could fucking talk about anything.
Yeah, don't care.
I'm all for it.
If I get high enough, I can explain Disney animation. So listen up.
Right. You tell us what's up. Well, I'm like, so my birthday is November 10th. Which is
happy early birthday.
Thanang you. I'm going to be 35, which means I'm closer to 40 than I am 30, and that's depressing. But then all I'm doing, so like, how pathetic though? I'm like, listen, I'm 35. In 1 year, I'm going to be 36. Did we not
Yes.
just talk about how much 36 means to me? So like
Exactly.
next year, it's going to be a good year. But like,
Awesome.
because I said like I wasn't able to work for so long and I have all this medical debt, like I don't know how I'm going to swing. Like I'm supposed to be going to Mohegan and MSG. Don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm like, I'll just try to GoFundMe. Like, hey, people do it for
Whatever
less. I
you
would
need
never
to do.
that. Never. I'm not that. No. But I'm like, hey, desperate times. Like,
Where there's a
anything I can
Dave,
do.
I always tell people where there's a Dave, there's a way.
Exactly.
It's true. If you want it bad enough and you talk to the right people, it will happen.
That's what I'm like trying to find anybody. I'm like, I will give you my firstborn child at this point.
It'd be a shorter it'd be a shorter list of things I won't do than things.
I mean, and that I don't know if we can say we'll say legal like the earlier one.
We'll say whatever we want on this podcast.
It's your podcast. You do what you want.
That's right. That's right. So I want to go back to your eating disorder just because I know that you're not the only one. And I know that you know that as well. So with being open about this and being involved in the community, I'm sure you have had times where you needed support and you got that. But I'm also interested in knowing if anyone else was struggling, were you able to say, hey, I can understand this. Let's chat. Like, have any of those things happened?
Like within the context of Dave or just in general?
Dave people.
So kind of. And even for me, like as open as I am about it, when I'm like doing better, I'm still really struggling, but even when I'm like doing better in recovery, I like have a lot of shame, not around the eating disorder because I've done a lot of therapy to pass that business. Like I feel like people have such like a stereotype of what an eating disorder is supposed to look like. And I hate that because you could literally weigh 12 pounds or 1,200 pounds. And like,
that's right.
I'm using those because numbers for people with eating disorders are very triggering, like specific numbers. Right. So like those, they're just as bad. Like weight has nothing to do with the eating disorder.
Right.
But for me, because I, for some reason, hold on to the desire to be so like emaciated and thin. And because people that aren't educated or don't really know, not in like an ignorant way, you just don't know if you're not exposed to it as much. But like, I feel like because I don't fit the mold in their heads anymore. Like, I think I'm huge, but that's the eating disorder speaking. But like, I don't fit that like emaciated mold that so many people have, like the preconceived like image in their head. I like have a hard time saying that I have an eating disorder because one thing that people get a lot with eating disorders is, oh, you don't look like you have an eating disorder. Yeah. And that is so damaging to say to somebody because it like minimizes their struggles. It's so invalidating. And I'm always afraid of getting that response.
Yeah.
So like, it's very hard to say like, yes, I have an eating disorder because I don't want people to be like, really? But now that I try to just push that aside and say that's my own shit in my head.
Right. Because not, like you said, not everyone is going to know.
Right.
They just don't know. And sometimes, you know, people say things, the way they deliver what they're saying is maybe not the best delivery.
Not always the best. Right.
But they have good intentions. Like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't understand that. And that's the way they should have worded it versus you don't look like you have an eating disorder. It's just blatant that they don't understand.
Or like, is there a look like you don't look like you have cancer? Like, who says that about like any kind of illness?
Yeah. There's no particular look for anything except meth. Meth is one of those things that you can just see it.
Funnily enough, or maybe not funnily enough, but funnily enough, when I've been in like my really, really bad places, like cancer and meth are two of the things that people that don't know me or just like see me on the street, like have assumed that like my issue is like,
but you have great teeth. Usually teeth is an issue when it comes to meth.
That is true. But with eating disorder, I've had a little bit of stuff done, but like can be very damaged.
Sure.
If you have like a specific eating disorder.
Sure.
But yeah, people have assumed I have cancer, like
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, people just need to not talk sometimes. I know I say I can't shut the fuck up, but at least I'm not like
Well, at least
commenting
you
on your
know.
body kind of fucked up.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least you have found yourself in a place where you can kind of discount that stuff and be like, okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
they just don't understand. It's not a knock on me, or they didn't say that to make me feel bad. It's just that they don't understand.
Yeah.
But also you do know, I know you got to know this because I'm sure that a million therapists or counselors or doctors have told you this, that being vulnerable in times where you have talked about it, and even this podcast, and let's just use this podcast
Yeah.
for example, there will be someone that listens to this or watches this on YouTube that is going to be able to identify with your story so well, and to see you being
Right.
brave enough to say, this is what this is what I've struggled through, this is still what I'm struggling with. How brave that is, and I want you to know that.
Right. So I used to go like on Facebook Live a little bit, and just like people would ask like Q&As, or I'd be in the hospital and I would like, I didn't never had like a platform, and I hate that. Like, I'm not a content creator. I'm not whatever. But like I would make those kinds of videos and like interact with people while I was making them, or people would always ask for updates, and like sometimes it's too much to type it all out, so I would just be this like inarticulate blubbering mess like in the hospital, giving people updates on like what was happening. Right. And like I did get a lot of feedback, like that's really helpful, especially because like a lot of my friends that I have on social media are people that I've met through being in the hospital with them, or in residential treatment, whatever. So like for the first bit of like knowing that I had an eating disorder and seeking help for it, like I was very like shameful. I didn't want to tell anybody. Like I would disappear like in high school to go to treatment, and then I'd come back and like wouldn't talk about it. Right. And then I was like, that's not helping me. And I would rather, because especially since it started like in junior high school and stuff, like people already like start rumors and like spread all this high school bullshit. And I was like, I would rather them hear from me what's going on than like stupid rumors or whatever, you know, like I was on coke, or I'm like, no, like, this is what it is. Right. And the therapy around the shame, I still have shame around so much, but it helped with that. And so like I have, like I said too, like a lot of trauma, like all different types of that. So I have like depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD, the eating disorder. So I feel like the more that I can be open about it, not that I think like, sometimes I feel guilty, like trying to like, not that I give advice, but I'm like, why would anybody want to hear anything I have to say? Because look at where I am. I'm not married. I'm finally, I'm almost 35, able to live on my own for the first time ever. My mom still has medical guardianship over me because I wasn't of sound mind to make all these medical decisions. So like I have a lot of shame around like where I'm at in life when all of my friends are married with kids and with these careers, and like that kind of sucks. I'm happy for all of them, obviously, but it also is, of course, like, that I wish that were me. So I feel like people in my position, like when I see other people that have struggled too, it is easier to feel like not alone. Although because I'm such an empath and because I'm like a caretaker and I put everyone else before myself, I'm like, if I could take everyone's pain away, like, yes, it's nice to know that I'm not alone, but I would rather be alone in it if that meant that nobody else had to suffer. Like, I like that you can relate because I feel that connection and I feel like I'm not crazy, but I hate that you can relate because I know how much it sucks and I don't want you to experience even an inkling of what I have to go through.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
So
no, I understand
has, like,
both sides of that.
It's bad.
It does. Yeah. It does. I get that. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So
but having had people reach out to me and saying like, you've helped me, I'm like, cool. Like the more, the merrier.
That's awesome. I mean, because I think that's what, you know, I like to think that, you know, whatever life has for you in whatever way that we have to get through and learn from and just get through and get to the other side of, we can use that to help other people who may be in the beginning phases of that exact same thing, or in the middle, wondering if there's even a possibility to get out of it. And so you are in your own success story of how you have moved along. You are not in the beginning. You are on another side of where you were. And so again, it's just proof that it can be done. And I think that's what's important, because people I know get in these places where they're like hopeless, like there's no way I can
And
ever get there.
honestly, like a lot of the time I still do feel hopeless because this has been my life as far back, not the eating disorder specifically, but all of the whatevers have been my life for so long. And like, I still, every single day is a struggle. Every single bite of food is a struggle. But like, I keep like, what's the alternative? Like, I've almost died so many times. I've lost so many friends to this disease or to whatever battles they've experienced. And as much as I think that like people don't love me or they're obligated to say they love me, like I know that like if I really try not to like bullshit myself, like if anything were to happen to me, people in my life would be heartbroken and devastated. And like I don't want to do that to them. And so like I hate, it does sound so lame, but like Dave and like everything that the band, the community, all that encompasses is like so motivating to me. And like, okay, so I made a reference to you earlier that I can say again. But like, on the thing, so you know how people like will give shit to people that are like vegan or talk shit, and like you make it your whole personality. I'm like, I probably make it. Like, people are probably like, oh my god, shut the fuck up! Like you make Dave like the whole personality.
Yes.
But like whatever. I could be talking about politics, and who wants to hear about that? So like, you're gonna
let's talk about Dave.
Talk about Dave. Yeah. Exactly.
A lot of, I mean, I get that because like we talked about earlier, we even roll song lyrics into our relationship or into our conversations, into people that don't want to hear, people that will never know what I was talking about or whatever. But it is such a big part of our life that's just what we do. And it's awesome. It's awesome when you find somebody that gets it, or if you meet someone just randomly on a Tuesday in your city that is like, oh, I love the Dave Matthews Band. I feel like, oh shit, I need to get your number, like automatically,
you
know?
Wait, no. So, okay, I have this in front of me. This is obviously, if you know, for this one. And I was walking, it was like a couple weeks ago now, but I was wearing this and I was going into a grocery store and somebody was walking out and she was like, oh, I like your sweatshirt. And I was like, oh, thanks. Then I had to like look down to see what it was. And like, it took me a second to like register, like, okay, yeah, it's Dave, but like, in order to know that this is Dave Matthews, like you have to get the reference in order to know. So I'm like, oh, she's like, not like we said, there's no like more legit fan than another, but I'm like, it's like legit. Like she knows the way it is. It's not like I was wearing something that said Dave Matthews.
Right.
You know, like.
Right. Yeah. You got to know what that means. It's like,
I was like, oh, I like you.
It's like Dave Matthews Band hieroglyphics. Like if you see that and you know what it means, like, okay, you're a fan of the Dave Matthews Band or someone you love dearly is.
Yeah. I could have stood there and talked to her forever about it. Oh, so, okay.
Yes.
I asked you if you had seen Mean Girls earlier.
Oh, yes.
Because what I always like tell people to try to like, I don't know, it's not even justification, but I'm like, that scene where Katie is like talking about how she's always talking about Regina George, and when she's not, she's hoping that somebody else will bring her up so she can talk about her. I'm like, that's me with Dave. Like, I'm not going to shut the fuck up, and I'm going to like hope that somebody somewhere will bring him up in conversation so I can go hard into the conversation.
I could see myself like doing that so many times. Like if I was in a room full of people and I just briefly heard over in the corner someone say something even remotely close to Dave Matthews Band, I would shut the room down and be like, what did you just say? Because I need to be in on that.
Or I could like, I've probably done this before, but like where somebody says something and I'll be like, oh wait, did you just say this? Like knowing sure damn well they didn't say anything, but I'm like, oh, I thought you said this. That's a Dave Matthews song. Or like, I thought you said Dave Matthews, like anything, just to be like.
Do you have people? Let me tell
you about my Lord and Savior, Dave Matthews.
Do you have people in your life that are like, this is ridiculous. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like at this point, because like I said, I'm kind of a disaster. If I talk about anything that makes me happy, people are going to be like, just go. Like, that's fine. You talk about it all you want, as long as you're not sobbing, as long as you're not in the hospital. You do what makes you happy. Even like, oh, my grandma is the cutest person in the entire world. And because, like, we're all, my mom, my aunt, and myself, and my grandma now, we're all single. It's like the four of us are like together.
The Golden Girls.
So, right. Oh my God, it's so funny. She actually has a group of friends. Unfortunately, they're older, so there's not as many of them anymore, but they always used to go out to coffee together, and everyone called them the Golden Girls.
Oh,
like,
I
was
love
the cutest
it.
person in the entire world. But because like the four of us, we're what we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so all three of her favorite people love Dave Matthews Band. So now she like joined the groups, and like she'll jump on couch tours sometimes just to watch it with us, and she tries to love them. So I really want a tattoo. My mom and I specifically, and then my aunt too, would want to get like some Dave tattoo. So we're like putting the feelers out to find out the best place.
Yeah.
And I told my grandma that she should get like a fire dancer with Granny like tattooed by her, because that would just be so cute.
It would be.
She doesn't get the reference yet, but we all do. So
and she would be the talk of a concert. Literal Granny was there with her Granny
That's
tattoo.
what I mean. Yeah,
that would be amazing. I mean, there would be 30,000 people that would think it was cool.
Right, exactly. That's all that matters. My new goal now that he took my phone for the selfie is I do want to get like the Dave tattoo, but I want to like incorporate something like a lyric or whatever that has to do with recovery.
Ooh, yeah.
But you know how people say like draw my next tattoo? I want to have a sign that says like I'm officially like 2 years or whatever into my like eating disorder recovery, draw a tattoo. Maybe that'll like grab his attention a little bit.
Ooh, yeah.
And so then he could draw me a tattau that I could get with like my lyric, buy it for recovery for Dave.
Oh, that would be amazing.
So if anyone out there has any connections, make Dave draw my tattoo. That would be
amazing. I've never even thought about that.
Of, like, yeah.
I always my husband always jokes at me because I'm always coming up with like, well, I'll always say something like, wow, the band could make a lot more money if they would do this. Or, hey, I've got an idea to make Dave some more money. He's like, Renae, they don't need like your help. They're doing really good, babe. They don't need like a retirement plan. And I'm always like, but that would be they make so much money with that.
Right.
But it's things like that.
The fans would love it.
If Dave would, like, if you could hire Dave to draw a picture for your tattoo or just to like frame or whatever, like when he retires, that's a whole side business that people would pay a ton of money for. Not that again, he needs a retirement plan, but I'm just saying, like, you get bored. Money's not everything.
What else is he going to do?
Well, so much
free wine and
so much he's going to do, I'm sure.
I know.
I can see him like retiring and being like a farmer, like
tracks though with like the wine, the farm aid. He could do it.
Oh,
he's like a people's people. Like he
is
gives a shit about everybody. You know
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? And that's like one of the whole good things. Like, their music's awesome. Fan bases are awesome. Like, all of it's awesome.
Like, Dave, Buddy, Tim, Thought, like they're all like that.
They're all awesome people that really care about people.
Like, right. Oh, we're so lucky.
We are so lucky.
I didn't want to say it. It's like so overused, but like so damn
lucky.
And the best of what's around. Like it's easy. It's like an easy go-to way to describe it. But like it's not. We're not wrong. Like
it's exactly the right word to use. I think you're spot on. I mean, you are so damn lucky. We are also so damn lucky, and also the best of what's around. Right. There's no better words. Everybody knows exactly what you mean. And if they don't, then you know where you stand with them. They're like, oh, okay, cool. I got so much to teach you.
I know. Step into my office. The charts that like.
I have a notebook ready to.
Yeah, exactly.
The history of the Dave Matthews Band. Let's start. Early 1989. That's where I want to start.
Or we can start 1991 in Charlottetown, North Carolina.
Yeah. Give them all bad information and be like, go to the next meetup and tell everybody that.
Talk about it.
I would never do that.
But we're so impressed.
I'm not giving false information out. I'm here to speak the truth. I'm here to speak the facts because I want people to know about this. I mean, obviously, this is the whole point of the podcast, is not necessarily to make sure that the band is known. They're well documented. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're down in history. But what I want to make sure that goes down in history is the fan base around them, because I like to remind myself, and Dave and the boys also say these things, without us there would be no band. right? And so
Right.
it takes both to make all of this happen. But I think often when we talk about music, we talk about bands, we don't necessarily focus on the fans of Taylor Swift, the fans of whatever, all these big people. But there is such a story inside of that, how it's saved people, how it's changed people, how it's helped people get through some shit. And that's the story right there, is like how powerful this music has been, and the way these guys have been able to write lyrics and play music and live life in a way that has changed lives. That's the story, right? That's the story that I love so much.
One thing we do have in common with Swifties is I think our fan base and Taylor Swift's fan base kind of get a bad rap as being like the most annoying fan bases, which is like crazy to me. We're just passionate. Like,
passionate. Yes.
Who the fuck cares if they make friendship bracelets and we hand out little fucking squeaky pigs? Like, gotta love it.
Beep, beep. If you're not watching this on YouTube, I'm literally got my squeaky pig out. Does it squeak?
My alligator is in the other room. I have them all over the place, but yes, my newest addition is my little alligator because I wanted to manifest alligator pie.
Yeah. Ooh, and we just got that somewhere. Where was it? Where was it?
Probably the Gorge.
Where did he play? He did, but then he also just did it randomly somewhere else. Oh, at Bourbon and Beyond. I was like, where was it? I was there. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
Bourbon and Beyond.
I was so bummed. That's another one I'm chasing. Okay, so everybody listening, if you do your manifestation for fall tour, Mohegan and MSG, I need, not even like I really want to hear that I'm chasing it. I need to hear Eehee.
Ooh, I don't know if that's going to happen.
It's so underrated. He never plays
I
it.
know.
It's such a fun song. Like I want to hear it.
I wish
so
that for you.
Like,
I'm going to manifest it for you.
I like, you know how like before shows and stuff would talk to people like, oh, what are you chasing? Whatever. Like if I say Eehee, people are like,
that's
why?
not going to happen. Yeah. Well, it's great. It's great.
Don't hate on Eehee.
I love it. I think it's great. I don't think he sings it enough. I don't even think people know about it enough. Like it's so good. However, it's just so odd. Like I'd love to know. There's so much I want to know, but like I'd love to know.
Like those weed, like in the woods with Dave.
Yes, but here's the thing about that. This little forest session that I have going on in my brain, where we're all sitting around a campfire talking about whatever
life.
The first rule is we don't talk about Dave Matthews.
No Dave talk.
Yep. None. Zero. Because
I think
I don't want to talk about me. He don't want to talk about him. Like I just want to talk about, like I said, the Milky Way, a Snickers bar. What? Whatever you want to talk about, just I'm down.
Random. You know how they have like those random shower thoughts or whatever?
Yes.
You talk like just like those in real life with Dave.
Yeah, down for it, because I know he's funny. You know, like there's that one commercial on, well, we all know he's funny, but like there was this one commercial that he did on XM where he talks about having to come up with, like, he played a game with like different people and they had to do like a one-liner famous ad commercial type thing, and they had to sing it. Yeah. And he's like, everybody's coming up with all this clever shit, and I sing, what was it? One thing's clear. Da, 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 da. It was something. What was it?
I can't now that
I can't remember what it was, but he was like, "Oh, you know, it was so stupid that like that's the one thing I come up with." And I was like, "Dude, you are cool because you came up with that nerdy thing. Like I did nerd. Like I speak the language."
I feel like I should remember that because they play the same clips on XM all the time of like each of them talking. But I can't remember. But yeah,
I can't remember either.
Dave speak is like my favorite language in the world.
Yes, I get it.
He's so funny.
He speaks my language, or I speak his, whichever. I don't know, but I love it, and I just love the Dave Matthews Band. I mean, that's just everything about it, anything in it. I just love it. Everything they do is perfection in my eyes, and I'm just so, like you said, so damn lucky that I've had it for this long. And, you know, I love the fact that you bring up that a lot of people want to say there's levels of fanhood. And maybe there is, I don't know, only because like there are people that have spent more time with the band. Like if you've been with the band since 1991 and you really have kind of researched them, you know a lot more than a lot of us. And that's just facts, right? But to dictate the level of fanhood that you have based on the number of shows you've been to is not accurate at all. I believe
like, knowledge does not equate to like passion and meaning. Like you can know more. Like I don't like some people. I'm getting there. Actually, I'm getting proud of myself. Sometimes I can recognize there's like a couple different songs it could be based on the guitar. I'm never going to always know, but like that's just because I asked questions and I'm paying attention now. But like just because you know like the first type of drums that Carter ever played, it doesn't mean that like they mean less to me than they do to you because you have this random information.
Right. I know it's silly, but it is happening. But you know, some people I always feel like if that's what you need to tell yourself in order to feel good about yourself, baby, go. Whatever. You're the number one fan. Woo! But Dave don't know you.
We'll get you a little phone finger that says number one.
Woo! Yep. Dave don't know you, baby. And if he does, I want to know. I want to know about it. Call the Space Between Podcasts. If you got a personal relationship with Dave Matthews.
If you have a personal relationship, then let's be besties.
Yeah, because I got a campfire I want to talk to you about.
Seriously.
I live in Arkansas. I can make this happen. And also, Arkansas may sound really weird to most people that are listening to this, but if you knew how many Arkansas ties are inside of the Dave Matthews Band, then you would feel different about that. I mean, I know that there's at least 2 people on the permanent staff of the Dave Matthews Band that are from Arkansas. And it ain't me because I'm not part of the staff, but ooh. I don't want to work for the Dave Matthews Band. I want to work for the fans. I want to be like.
Well, you do that already.
I do, but I would like to make money at it. It would be awesome.
That's true. Then we could like afford our addiction to Dave.
Hell yeah, travel around with the band and talk to the fans, and dude, that would be amazing. Report the story of the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. But that's what I'm doing anyways. I don't need to get paid because I love what I'm doing. I think that
and that's what makes you just as big of a fan because it's the passion. Like you're not doing this because you have to. You're doing this because you love it.
I don't have to do this.
And we love you for it.
I don't have to do this. But, you know, if you're listening to this and you may not know this, Lyss, I started this podcast because I, like you, at this particular time that I'm going back to, I did not know my diagnosis is. I just knew that the way I was feeling was not right. In 2022, I got to a place where I no longer wanted to live. Thankfully, I remember that day so well, so well. I remember sitting in my floor in my bedroom and literally just thinking, what am I don't have any reason to go on, which was furthest from the truth because I have an amazing family, amazing. And it hurts me that I even felt that way, but I can't help the way my feelings work sometimes.
And so in that space, like it doesn't matter. Like that's where you're at.
It was just all I could feel. Thankfully, I told my husband, and long story short, we decided that I needed to find something that would get my brain off of that. And we had the conversation of what makes you happy. Outside of my family, it was the Dave Matthews Band, but specifically the people that I had met because of the Dave Matthews Band. And so I was like, okay, I could talk about that all day long. And so, you know, long story short, I started a podcast. But along the way, this podcast has saved my life. This podcast has saved my life. And I know that every episode when we talk about whether it's an eating disorder or whether it's the loss of a spouse or a cancer diagnosis or whatever it is, this band has saved lives. It saved mine. So I know that it's true. It has helped so many people through so many things and gotten me to a place where I feel like it's okay to talk about it because there is so much shame in like those moments where you doubt even why you're existing. which, I said it just a minute ago. Like, I feel bad that I even felt that way. There's so much shame in that, because how are my kids going to feel about that if they ever hear that? Like, it's an awful place. It's a shameful place to be. But because of all of these things, I got brave enough to go talk to some people about it and get some help for it. And so this podcast has literally saved my life, changed my life. And I'm just so fucking grateful to be doing it. And I do it because it continues to be that for me. I don't need to make money. I don't need to be famous. I don't need anything than what I have right now. All I need is all around me, right? Like Dave says, all I need is fucking all around me. And it is through all of this. This has been such a big form of therapy for me to figure that out, that I'm okay, even when I am not okay. And it's okay to say you're not okay.
So first of all, you're going to make me cry. Second of all, so fucking glad you're still here. And the way that you say that, like, this podcast has saved your life, like, I hope you know that just as, like, the Dave Matthews Band, like, themselves have saved lives, like, this podcast in so many ways has probably saved other lives as well, because people can share their stories. And once they do, their stories out there, and then they connect with people, like you said, like, that can also relate to their stories. Or, like, if I can talk to somebody or be open about my eating disorder, my depression, anxiety, PTSD, whatever, and, like, connect with somebody that reaches out to me, maybe because they've gone through the same thing, or, like, somebody with a cancer diagnosis, or somebody that's lost their spouse, like, we can all connect with each other. Mm-hmm. And, like, that just, like, further kind of, like, just builds these relationships that you wouldn't have for, like, if not the band or if not this podcast, you know?
Yes.
So, like, it saved your lives, but you're out here saving lives yourself. So,
well, I mean,
all, like, appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing. I really hope that I get the chance to continue recording people's stories, because, again, I just think it's so important to document this so that when we are all gone, there will be some trace of what has happened, because it's important what has happened. And it's important that we keep, so, like, if you've never listened to this before, I'm a nurse. That is what I do, like, Monday through Friday. That's what pays the bills. And so, I always have had this belief, just because, school, my job, my profession, that music is such a tool of therapy. It is such a tool that is used. I mean, there's literal music therapy classes that you can take. And I think that that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast in general, is just continue the conversations and make people aware that when I say music saves lives, I'm not exaggerating. I am literally telling you facts that are happening right now. And so, music is more than just something that fills our time. It really does. It fills our hearts and our souls and our brains. And it's just such a beautiful thing. So I can't thank you enough for being vulnerable enough to come on the show and talk about your journey and, how hard it's been, but also how beautifully intertwined the Dave Matthews Band has been a part of your life, and something that's been a part of your life from the beginning. And that very thing that's been there from the beginning, outside of your family and friends, of course, is the very thing that kind of swooped in and did exactly that. It filled your heart. It filled your soul. It filled your brain. It gave you the strength to wake up another day and say, okay, I'm going to do it. It's going to be fucking terrible. It's going to be so hard, but I'm going to get through it because I'm worth it, right? I'm worth it. And that's okay to say.
If I have to eat this damn food so I can go see them tomorrow, like, I'm going to eat this damn food so I have the energy to not pass out in the middle of SPAC. Like,
that's exactly right.
Keep me going.
That's exactly right. Well, Lyss, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I hope that you'll come back after we've got so much that's coming up. We don't know what 2025 looks like. We have no idea, but you've got some shows coming up this fall. I'm so excited to hear about those. You're going to. Where there's a Dave, there's a way, right? I think that's the second time I've said that, but like, it's the truest thing. If you have such a will and it's a Dave related thing, it'll probably just find its way out. But I don't know what 2025 looks like as far as tour schedules and all of that, but I hope that you'll come back and that you'll share just the continuation of your journey, because it's not over, right? We're not done.
Absolutely.
We are still all just on the track, just going every day, and surprises will happen. We'll all have those moments again where we're down again, and we're going to need some people to lift us back up. And so we're just building another community where we can reach out and be like,
Right.
hey, I need somebody to tell me anything right now, because right now I'm struggling. And it's beautiful to have those connections that we know that we can, and without judgment and without anything, they're going to say, what can I do for you? And it's all because of music. All because of
Right.
music. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I was going to say, I don't know where I would be without it, but I know I would not be here. Like, it just wouldn't be a thing.
Right. No, I totally get it. And I know that so many people do. So thank you again so much for being on the show.
Thank you for giving all of us this platform to like tell us and everyone else how much the band means to us, and how much the fans and all of you, like.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know, if you're listening to this and you don't know, so what I'm doing with this podcast is, once the band retires, in whatever form that is going to be, we don't know what the future looks like. But when they retire from the way that they are right now, I'm working, or I plan to be working with a friend of mine who has a film company. I'm going to be using all of these podcasts to do a documentary, basically a love story from the fans to the Dave Matthews Band on the impact that they've made on thousands of people. So that's what you're a part of that. So your story, it matters, it counts, it's part of it, and they're going to know. And so that is what this podcast is about. So if you're interested in being part of that love story, then I invite you to reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and just say, hey, I'd really like to share my journey. And it doesn't matter how many shows you've been to. I don't even ask people that typically, unless they want me to. Some people want to talk about it, and that's okay. That's okay. But that's not what I'm going to lead with because in my heart, it weighs nothing, really. And so I'd love to have you on the show to just talk about what your experience has been, and how this community has changed your life. And so definitely write me in and let me know. But guys, if you're just listening to this on a podcast app, know that you can watch this. I know that Lyss is going to send me the picture of that Dave took from the stage, and we'll have that.
God, yes.
Yeah, we're going to have that on the YouTube side. So if you want to see it, if you want to watch it, go to my YouTube channel, which is just simply Under the Space Between Podcast. You can watch this whole video and like hundreds others with all of my other guests on the show. And stay tuned, because you never know. I never know who's going to be on this show. So check it out. It might be someone you know, but also it might be something that, speaks to your heart because you're going through the same thing. So I invite you to come back every week, sometimes twice a week. I'll put out a new episode. So stay tuned, guys. But Lyss, in the meantime, guys, everybody, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band. Space between